Okay, so this vlog is going to be pretty vulnerable and intense. So I just want to say, just right off the front, if you get triggered by anything that I say during this video, please reach out to someone, a mental health professional or someone you trust, or a family member or friend who you can talk to if this video does trigger anything by any chance. So I'm going to begin this video, and this is going to be a rant-along video. I'm not going to try and structure this too much. I'm going to begin with when I was in chronic physical pain. So I started suffering when I was about 20, so now I'm 25, from intense headaches, and then I got an injury which led to extreme body pain, and I was in a wheelchair and could hardly function, to be honest, normally for like a year and a half. And I was really confused. I got diagnosed with this thing called osteitis pubis, where your pubic bone splits slightly, like slightly fractured. I wouldn't say like full split. But it was just agonizing pain around my hips, my tummy. I just had this intense anxiety that I'd often wake up with because I just had so much pain in my body. And it's invisible to people. Like when I felt like this, it's like you couldn't see it. And I went to lots of different physios, chiropractors, the whole works of different health professionals. I'm sure there's more people that I could see, but acupuncturists. And generally it's sort of like a 3-month period that you recover from OP, it's called. And lots of footy players, AFL footballers get it in Adelaide. But mine seemed to stay around for quite a bit longer. And it just felt like it was getting worse. After 3 months, I felt like I could hardly move, function, think. It just felt so hard to do everyday tasks that I used to take for granted. Like I remember being scared to go up steps because I was in so much pain. Anything that there was, like I just felt this intense feeling of pain. And to be honest, it felt I was fortunate that I had a meditation practice and I had friends and family who supported me, but it felt like hell. Like I didn't want to wake up in the morning, and I didn't want to, and just like my sense of relief was just when I'd pass out in the evening. And it sucked. As much as I tried to reframe how I felt and what was going on, I felt like I was going to die. It felt like my body was giving up on me. And I just felt this intense physical pain all over my body, from like my back, my shoulders, my neck and jaw, my temples around my head. It was like, and then of course like in my pubic bone area. And it was just so, yeah, it felt like I had this sense of hope that these feelings would go away because I was exercising, I was eating well, I wasn't drinking, I wasn't smoking. It felt like I was doing all the right things, but my body just didn't feel like it was doing better. I went into Joe Dispenza's work around visualization and mind-body connection to heal the mind-body connection. Or mind-body connection to heal the body. And all of these different things definitely helped over time. But it was utterly confusing and debilitating. And it stayed like that for a very, very long time. And I would put on a smile around people. I would pretend that, and my phrase when people asked me how I was doing is I would say I was better. And I was kind of I didn't want to say that I felt terrible and I felt horrible and I just felt in so much pain the whole time, because I just didn't want to make people feel the discomfort that I was feeling. I was ashamed of how my body felt. And like, yeah, it just felt like it would never end and never go away, no matter how many different specialists and people that I would see. And there were many things that started to shift it. But one of the realizations is after going to, and I was very fortunate to have coaching during this time, almost I would say life coaching, results coaching. But before that, I saw a therapist, psychiatrist / shaman lady, and I was very much of the belief, even when before I approached her and did work with her, that my body in the way that I was feeling, like I could just do the action that I wanted to do and I didn't have to deal with these past feelings and beliefs. I was very much of the belief that I can just focus on the future, take the action like the person I want to be and who I want to become, and that's my therapy, and I don't have to go back to all of this stuff. And I do believe that frame is very useful, but I was trying that and I was still suffering and just feeling horrible inside my body. There were moments I was thankful that I had a very close support system around me, but there were definitely thoughts of like, will this ever end? Like, will I be able to get out of this? And like a feeling of like, well, what's the point in even being alive if I feel this shit all the time? And I think in this video I'm going to swear. I probably won't normally swear in YouTube videos, but it felt like just this black darkness that I didn't understand where it was coming from and what it was. I'd ask myself questions, I'd journal, and all the inner work and healing definitely helped, like all the different journaling courses, meditation, the whole works. Following things that did bring me joy. But one of the pivotal points was during one of my sessions with Prue. She guided me back to an experience, and we would ask like, where's this pain coming from? What has happened? And there was a whole process that she went through. I'm just trying to think if anyone is listening, what might be useful. Because I'm trying to create this video for myself in the past, like 20-year-old who was just like, felt like there was no hope with this. Even though he would say he had hope, and he would put on a smile and he would read and do things each day to help. It's like I just felt like I had no hope of escaping the chronic physical pain, which I didn't even want to identify as, and I didn't even want to tell people how horrible I felt. So I think so that's why I'm creating this video. I'm just like tapping into that. If this person is watching it now and they're going through a similar experience, what is the most valuable advice and perspective that I could give them or you, past Liam? And I think the main thing that happened during this session is like, it wasn't just this session that transformed everything. It was like a holistic perspective of healing and looking at life from a holistic perspective. It was the diet. It was everything that helped me heal. And I think optimizing one's life in a holistic perspective and just always aiming to become the best version of yourself for me, became the ultimate healing, because it's like I was searching for one thing that would help me with the pain, or one thing that would help release or relieve the pain. But there wasn't one thing. It was multifaceted, and it was community, friends, like just creating an amazing life no matter the circumstance you are in. But then there are some root causes, and one of the root causes psychologically, where I started to feel a lot of relief, was Prue guided me back to this experience. And we would basically go, when was the first time? I remember the basic gist of the script, and I'll share some of it now. but it was basically like you guide yourself back to when did you previously feel the uncomfortable or unpleasant sensations or thoughts? Like when was the last time? Then you eventually go back to when was the first time that you experienced those feelings and thoughts. And she takes you through a specific guided sequence. And I think there's lots of other professionals who have something similar, but I was very fortunate to have Prue in this specific moment and instance. And we had like 3, 4, 5, 6 sessions before it came to this point. And she guided me back to this moment, and she asked me what happened. And all of a sudden, I felt like all the pain that I went through started to make sense. And there was like this sudden epiphany that I had tried to reach to before, but I had not felt. And that thing was that I had been sexually abused. And this memory came up, and I denied it. I was like, no, Prue, that didn't happen. And then I started to feel these tears go down my face, and this relief that I hadn't felt for so long. And we went through it. We felt the uncomfortable, the feelings of shame, of guilt. I was like 4 or 5 at the time. And that's also why I doubted it. I was like, did this even happen? How can I even remember that long ago? Why did I shut it out? Why didn't I tell anyone? There were all these different thoughts that I had going through my mind at that time. And like, she held the space, she listened with presence, with love, and we went through and we found lessons, and ultimately, even though it sounds completely, and I don't want to go into who it was, the exact situation and details of the event, because I was 4 or 5, and some part of me, in my own way, is still scared and doesn't want to hurt. Like, the other person who did it to me was young, and I don't really want them to. Yeah, I think it's just like the memory happened when I was so much. I think I just don't want to, and that's okay. I think I'm trying to justify why I don't want to share the details, but it's like I don't want anyone to go after them or to do anything like that. Like, I just choose to forgive them, and my peace is the greatest revenge that I will ever have. And yeah, my peace and happiness is the greatest revenge I will ever have. That feels good to say. But during that, I'm finding it hard to look into the camera. During that event, I felt this wave of relief and this feeling of peace wash over me, and I thought it would completely go away and I'll be completely fine. I dealt with it. I reframed the event in my mind, found lessons from it, found value from it. As weird as that may sound, like if you, but it's still like lingered, and I still, afterwards, like I felt relief that day. Then afterwards, the following days was like all the feelings and emotions that I had been suppressing for so long associated that it kind of built on that event. And I was like, why am I even making this such a big deal? It doesn't even matter. Just get on with your life, Liam. Was kind of like the judgment that I was having towards myself. And yeah, it was like, it was crazy, all the different thoughts and feelings, and like, because I'd felt numb in my body, in certain parts of my body for so long, and then feeling the shame, the guilt associated with the event, I just felt this wave of relief. And then that same week, what was crazy is, I don't know, I felt quite alone and I didn't really want to tell anyone about it at the start. It felt also weird telling it to, I felt some part, it was like a weird thing because I was like, yes, I've got relief. Now I know why my body is responding like this. Like I had this event and now I was hardly like able to walk for, it felt like 50 meters because my body felt like it was so shut down and in so much pain. And then after that session, that week, I remember I was doing rehab with a physio or with a PT, Vince. And he looked at me and he's like, well, how have you made so much progress in the last week? Because I was suddenly able to do these different activities that I wasn't able to do. And I was like, this event happened to me. And it turned out that he had been through a similar event. And I was like, wow, I'm not alone. And that was having someone to support and a therapist or seeking help during that time was so important. And I didn't want to. I didn't think that they could help, you know. But there's so many amazing therapists and coaches out in the world, and it's just, there's some shit ones too. But when you find one, it's like, it's such an incredible gift to be able to speak so freely and non-judgmentally to someone. Or to have someone listen to you non-judgmentally. So yeah, that was, then Vince, and my body was still feeling a bit sore. Then during that same week, I was working on a startup with Scott McEwen and Joe Weeby on the Constant Student. We're building an educational community. And Joe had written a book called 18 and Lost. And one of the stories in the book was by Tyler. And Tyler had written about her experience going through sexual abuse. And I didn't know that she had gone through this either. And I think I'd had a couple conversations with her, and then during our chat, again, my chat with her just, again, removed different layers of shame and guilt that I didn't know that I was carrying. And it's weird. It's like, why would I even carry shame and guilt about this? But it's just like, I just felt it when I would speak about the event. I just felt so uncomfortable. And yeah, it's just, and then after that, I phoned a friend who I've known for a very long time. And he's like, oh, Liam, you sound a lot better. What's happened? How are you doing? And I said, oh, I'm much better. Like, I'm able to do this. He was like, how are you able to do that? I was like, I could lie and just say it's like, I'm just healing. But for some reason, I felt like it was important for me to share to him. It turns out he had been through, this is all in the same week. Turns out he had been through something similar when he was younger. And now I'm like, whew, this is horrible, you know. And he spoke about how it affected him and different, like, social anxiety and different things that he went through. And I was like, whoa. But again, I felt this feeling of like, I'm not alone. People have been through this. Some people have been through worse than the incident that I went through. And it's not like comparative suffering, but it's just like, I think it just, the shame and guilt makes you feel like you're so alone, like you are so worthless, like there is nothing good about you and there is like no hope, you know, like those type of voices can enter people's minds. This is a real deep one. And I'm laughing because I'm nervous. But I think after this, I speak to another gentleman and he's asking me how I am. And I think it was one of our first conversations. And I won't mention his name because these people haven't given me consent to share that they have been through a similar experience, and I haven't even checked with them. I just felt like I just needed to record this video. I've been wanting to record this video for a while, but I've been too scared. And yeah, so he had also been through the same experience. So like in the space of a week, they were like, to summarize the story, there were like 5 people who I had known previously and known of, who had all been through it, a similar experience. And I was like, okay, it's just, and I think it's like 1 in 6 people have been through sexual abuse, you know, and 1 in 6 men, and then it can be even worse for women. And then I started to realize, I was like, okay, and all these content creators, and like actually to go back before all of this, like to share more of my story before all of this, I was a big fan of Tim Ferriss since I was like 17, and I loved Tim's work, and I'd read The 4-Hour Workweek. I loved listening to his podcast. Like it got me through my year 12 when I was 17. I'll just listen to a podcast from Tim most days. And fast forward like 3-4 years later, whilst I'm still in chronic pain, I would kind of listen to his podcasts around different mental health professionals and health professionals. To be honest, just to heal my body, and I just wanted to feel better. And one particular episode, this was before I knew and had the session with Prue, is I remember listening to this podcast episode by Tim, and he talks about the sexual abuse that he went through, and he spoke with a guest, and I'm trying to remember her name, but she was incredible. I think it was Debbie something. But all of a sudden that week, my mind had been very racing. I'd still felt this extreme tension and pain, and I listened to this podcast episode, and as he was talking about it, I just felt this peace, and I was like, this is weird. I was like, I just feel this peace, and I just felt understood and heard when Tim was talking about how it had affected him, you know, and how it had been such a big part of his life. And then I listened to that full episode, and I was like, oh, thank goodness that didn't happen to me. You know, like I know I'm going through my stuff, but I was like, thank goodness that didn't happen to me. I was completely unaware of the event and completely blocked it out. And then I just all of a sudden wanted to share it, this podcast episode, with so many people. I was like, this is like, I can't believe Tim shared this. This is like, it just made me feel peace. And I just wanted to share that with other people who I thought might be going through hard times. It's funny because as soon as I want to share something to people very like strongly, it's often the thing that I most need to hear myself and to re-listen to and re-go through myself. So that was interesting. In terms of the not alone part, I'm just going to keep going with this for a bit. One of the YouTubers who I followed since I was 15, Charlie Hubert, and I've spoken about him before, but I followed his YouTube channel, Charisma on Command, because I was struggling to make friends in Adelaide, and I just moved from Zimbabwe, which was a different culture, and I saw one of his videos pop up, and yeah, I was like, I need to be better socially. I just felt so, I don't know, people could probably see that like tennis, academics, achievement-wise, things were going well, but emotionally and relationship-wise, like I was struggling to adapt to the new culture. And so fast forward, like I loved his work, and I started following his work, and that's where I got involved with Tim Ferriss, and found out about 4-Hour Workweek, How to Win Friends and Influence People, and he sort of was like the starting point, the main starting point of my personal development journey, I would say, and reading and learning, and yeah, so I'm very thankful for that. But yeah, fast forward like 5-6 years later, after consuming Charisma on Command material, whilst this is all happening, I go to a Vipassana meditation retreat. And at this Vipassana meditation retreat, I'm like still in the process of working through all of this, and I'm still feeling pain. I'm feeling much better, and I'm able to exercise now, which is like incredible. I'm so thankful just to be able to exercise. And I'm still waking up with tension, neck pain, back pain, whatever. It's like, it's getting better, but it's taking its time. And I'm still going through constant sessions, sometimes coming back to this. Sometimes it's also just other memories. Like, it's like the reason I felt chronic pain wasn't just this, but it was just, it played a major part in how I felt, and yeah, and the pain itself. So after this 10-day Vipassana meditation retreat, I all of a sudden get this feeling of like, I need to connect with Charlie, or like I need to get out, I need to email Charlie. At this time, I've got like no subscribers. I've still got limited subscribers. I have got like hardly any experience. I'm working on community building, but this thought just enters my mind. It's like, you need to do this. So I was like, okay. So one of the days, like a week later, after the 10-day Vipassana meditation retreat, I go to this cafe, and I'm sitting at the cafe, and all of a sudden, I feel like everyone has this, but I'm just in flow. And I just open up this email, and the right words at the right time just came out of my fingers. I still don't know. I've tried to reach out to other well-known people, but I still don't know how I typed that email the way that I did, but it just went through, and I was like, I got a feeling he's going to respond to this. I was like, he's got 6 million whatever subscribers. I'm sure he gets hundreds of emails a day, and doesn't respond to most of them. I don't know. I could be wrong. And then sure enough, the CEO and the other co-founder at the time, Ben, get back to me. And I think it was also because one of the reasons was I was in community building. I'd taken his course, and I was like, I want to help you create a better community for your for your course, and I think it'll make your course that much better. So that didn't actually end up. I didn't actually end up staying with community building. So that was a good call from him to not take me on as a community builder. But we had a call, and we had like 5 chats back and forth. And I didn't know, whilst I'm starting to work for a little bit with Charlie, and we didn't work for long at all. It was like literally like 4 or 5 calls. I see this video on his podcast, and I've been following his podcast for a long time. And this is whilst I'm going through all of this as well. So it's like literally weeks. This is like condensed the weeks into like 2 weeks. I see on his podcast, for the first time, his co-founder like kind of pushed him to talk about a childhood experience, and he had been sexually abused as well. So then I'd found out before, I'd told him, but I didn't realize he had been through something similar. So then I was like, whoa, this is getting trippy now, you know? And in a good way, in like a way that made me feel like, okay, I'm not alone. This is a very prevalent, common problem that affects so many people, and it affects them in ways that they cannot even begin to imagine unless they start to do the inner work. And it can lead, like, for me, it's like feelings of depression, of hopelessness, of anxiety, of not feeling good enough, constantly. Like, it's weird how one single event and it's more the story we create around that event can just impact so much of our behavior in future moments. It's wild. But yeah, so now I found out Charlie's been through it, and I'm like, okay, there's all these different stories of these people that I've been following that I didn't know, and now I've been through it. I was like, I feel like it'll be good to create a parable of different stories to show people who have been through it, but how they've also been people who have been through it and lived amazing lives, and it doesn't have to define you. And you can rewrite the story and the narrative, as horrible as it may be, into something into living an amazing life, you know, and everyone goes through their own trauma, through their own issues. And yeah, and the trauma doesn't have to define you. You can rewrite the story, you can do the inner work, and you can live an amazing life. Well, that's so. At this point, I'm working on the startup in Sydney with Scott and Joe, and good on Joe at the time. He was like, good on Joe. I mean, like, I'm thankful for Joe's support during this, because I was like, okay, I need to write these people's stories, you know, and I want to bring together all these different successful people, but also everyday people, similar to what he had done with 18 and Loss, but just more tailored towards people who had overcome and been through sexual abuse. And it was kind of me also just wanting to heal my own stuff and just to feel at peace with what had happened to me. Because it took time, you know, like I was very much of the belief after the first session that I went through, I was like, it's done. Like, I just made the decision. It's like, I'm done. I'm healed from this. I'm going to go forward. And yeah, I feel like I got put in my place in terms of it's a little child that was hurt, and it requires gentleness and compassion and loving support each and every day. It's not just one session. It can be. Like, for some people, I'm not going to place that limitation. For some people, it can just be, I just have one session or one reframe, and the entire experience is healed, and I am healthy, you know, and it doesn't affect me, and it doesn't negatively affect some of my behavior. So yeah, but then, so I talked to Charlie about this. He's down, but then it just fell through, and I didn't feel like I don't know, to be honest, I needed to I wasn't making any money, hardly any money at the time. The startup was changing, and Scott was focused more on his business. Joe was focused more on books, and I wanted to get involved in movies and film now, so we left that. But then I'm talking to Miranda, my creative coach / results coach at the time, weekly, and that was like one of the things that helped me through the tough emotional experience. And we went back like with her as well. I went back a couple times, and I'd have phone calls with her. But it's still like, to some degree, affected me. Like, I went back to one of the other moments because I realized there were a sequence of events. And I remember going into the coffee shop, and I touch wood, like from when I was really young to when I was like 17, I felt like I would get anxious or not feel good, but I was just able to just push through it. Like, I just felt like my mind would just go, if I'm not feeling good, like, I'll just do the exercise. I just felt very disciplined, and I think I was thankful to sport for that. But this one afternoon, after I went back to processing these feelings, because I was still suffering from headaches, I went to the coffee shop, and I was supposed to do some work, and I just couldn't do work. Like, I would just, like, I almost had like a panic attack, and I'd never had that. Like, my hands started shaking. I couldn't concentrate. I couldn't do anything. I felt completely useless. And I just felt so mentally weak, and I just hated that. I hated that feeling of just feeling so mentally weak, and like I can't control my nervous system, you know? And then all I wanted to do was sleep, and I felt depressed and whatever. But that was often after the healing process or getting to the next level. I noticed it would come in different next level, quote unquote. Like, you get the learning, or you experience the challenging emotion. Like, I'd feel it, then I'd get to, and then it would feel this relief, and then I'd feel this wave of like shame or guilt or feelings that I didn't want to feel. And then once those feelings pass, then I'll feel lighter. And then I'll be like, wow, okay, now I feel relaxed, I feel good. I feel free, and it just came in layers like that. But now back to this moment in time, and I didn't expect this to go for 35 minutes, but here we go. It's like I'm going to sit down and talk for 5 minutes on this. Oh well. But yeah, so now I'm talking to Miranda, and she's like, I saw this dude named Perry Power online, and Liam, I know you're wanting to create this book. Like, he's already created his book and told his story and his journey. So she's like, I really get the strong intuitive feeling. I still remember what she said. You need to reach out to him. So I was like, okay, I'll reach out to him. So as I was making the transition into film, he was also talking about wanting to create a movie from his story. So I was like, oh, this is great. So I reach out to him, we connect, we have a chat, and he's incredible. Like, the work that he has done, just from what I've seen and been following him in the chats that we've had, he's the real deal, and like, he is, what he has done is he started off taking people who had been through sexual abuse and helping them write a book and turn their book into an empowering story. Okay, so the video timed out. So this is the second cut. I had to re-download all the footage, put it on my computer, and then come back. So yeah, I think where I was at was I was talking about Perry Power's awesome work that he's done, and you can check out his work on Instagram if you were interested after this video. But yeah, we've connected and had a few WhatsApps and phone calls back and forth, and he connected me with his friend when I went to LA, Ina. I'm probably mispronouncing some names. I don't know why some names I just get confused, but let me get back to the story. So Perry has now made a lot of progress with his film, and he has raised money for it, some money already, and he submitted it to all sorts of different film festivals. And he's particularly wanting to get into Cannes Film Festival. I think his story, I think you should just check it out and find his story online. If you search his name, it will come up. And his story, the way that he tells the story will do it justice. I think the main thing of this video is I'm working on my own scripts and projects, but I've encountered people along the way like Perry as someone who's creating a film around this topic, which just really touches me and touches my... touches me is not the right word for this subject. Oh my God, okay. At least I can laugh at it. So bad. So bad. Okay. What I meant to say is the amount of stories that he has shared and the amount of people that he has helped through what he has created is phenomenal already. And he has had the courage. When I saw him sharing so openly and so vulnerably about his story, but also the amazing life that he has created afterwards and the transformation that's happened in his life, it's incredible, and that story needs to be told. And so if there's any investors, anybody that you know who would be interested in funding that film and bringing it to life, get hold of them, email him. And I just really can't wait. Like, he sent me through this message the other day, which I actually want to play. He's like, legend, bro, I'm at the gym. He often says the word geezer, old Perry. Seeing you on the path and moving forward makes me so happy. Thank you, dude. Okay, so now let's go into his goal, one of his goals.
I was in a okay, this probably seamlessly goes into my update with my film. So I can't remember what the last update was that you know of the film, but basically the goal that I would like for the film, It Ends With Me, is for it to premiere at Cannes. So I'm going right. So the dream, okay, and the dream part is out of my control. I can position it so hopefully it lines up, and if it doesn't, that's fine. I won't be let down because I'll be proud that I managed to actually get it submitted. So really, what the goal that I'm aiming for is the things within my control, which is to submit it to Cannes Film Festival and then to submit it to the Academy Awards. The goal is for next year. Now, which means I can't remember off the top of my head, I think I've got until March or May next year to get it filmed and submitted to Cannes. And the reason why, it's a decision that I had to make because, I'm learning a lot myself here. That because if I want the film to premiere at Cannes, then it's in the running for whatever they call it, the Dior, whatever it is, which is what.
Anyway, so now later on from this voice note, I've seen some of Perry's updates, and he submitted it to a whole bunch of festivals, used some of the funding that he got, and I think his script has received incredible feedback from a large amount of festivals around the world. So I think it's on track to being made. And it is going to be made. It's just a matter of time. So I think the whole, bringing this full circle is no matter what someone goes through and no matter what someone is going through, changing the story around what someone went through, and no matter how dark, is always possible. And Perry to me has been a testament to that, and is why I'm obsessed with movies and films and all of these different things, all these different mediums of telling stories. Because stories at the end of the day can change, and they can change for the better. And we all have the power within us to write our own story in a way that is incredible, in a way that we look back and we're proud of. And it just takes the next moment to rewrite a chapter in someone's story. And being around people and listening to people like Perry is incredible, and there's more people like that in the world. So I think I just wanted to create this video because his story, other people's stories, have helped me with my own. And I hope that sharing this video with you today, if you're in a light moment and you're feeling happy, peaceful, positive in your life, that you stay that way and that things progress. But when things do go dark, there is always, I think it's like the biggest thing for me was like hopelessness was a myth. It was an illusion. There's always light. It's like that quote from Harry Potter. It's like when it gets too dark, just turn on the lights. I don't know, I'm butchering it. But I think the main thing is I can't wait to see Perry's film at the Oscars or at the Cannes Film Festival or at whatever film festival it reaches. Because I know he's going to do an incredible job. And I think I just found it was such an inspiring tale. And what am I trying to say here at the end of this? I think what I should do is also share where I am right now. So where I am right now is I'm loving so much of the work that I'm doing. My body feels 100 times better than it did before. Some days I still feel pain and headaches and tension. I do. But the thing that I have learned along my journey is to, with the pain, with the discomfort, is to give it love, to give it appreciation, and to give it presence. And someone's story who I was also touched by, who I also didn't know went through something similar, was Ben Harvey, the founder of Authentic Education. And I took his coaching course, and it was, to this day, one of the best courses that I've ever done, hands down. Just like the tools and the resources that he shared, him and Cham. And I met Miranda through that course, who ended up being my coach. And it was just an incredible experience. And it was challenging, it was difficult because it brought up different emotions for me as well, and was like more healing tools and skills. But one of the things that I remember Ben sharing up on stage is he mentioned this quote that has really stuck with me ever since he said it, which is, the final destination of transformation is appreciation. And he stood up on stage or over the Zoom call, I think it was during COVID, and he shared how he had been through sexual abuse as well. And I was like, well, it just became like this, I don't know, energetic thing of people who had healed sexual abuse. I now just saw so many of them in my life, you know, with all the different courses and education and different things that I did. It was, but he got up on stage or he shared how he had been through his own story. And he just said, like, some moments you go back to again and again, but he chose to view it as like something that he appreciated and something that he was grateful for, that he went through that experience. And my first belief was like, I can accept that experience, but appreciate it, be thankful for it. Why the fuck would I want to do that? It's like, Jesus, why the fuck would I want to do that? Excuse the French. But it's like after so much suffering that it has caused me, why would I want to appreciate the event? You know, it's like, dude, piss off. But then, and it sounded almost like too Pollyanna in terms of like, it's just, why would you want to appreciate it? But then I thought about it, and he explained it. And it's like, at the start, you might not start with this feeling of appreciation towards some of your darkest moments. You know, you might not. And it's often just the awareness and acceptance of the feeling that you feel. And that's often enough. And just being present with it in the moment. But if I appreciate all the darkest moments in my life and some of the most challenging moments in my life, and if you potentially wanted to do the same, it just unlocks this level of peace. And you start to see how no matter what event you go through, you can find things that are of benefit to you from that experience. Like, I probably wouldn't have met or learnt so much at such a young age if I hadn't been through that event. Do I wish it on anyone? No. But I got into Tim Ferriss' podcast really early. I mean, Charlie Hubert, like, I went to his house in Malibu, you know, and it was like crazy. You know? I was like, no ways that would have happened if I hadn't have been through that event and had to learn all these different emotional tools and storytelling tools and whatever it is, like, through the journey. I wouldn't be talking to Perry right now, who's an incredible guy, around his movie project that is going to inspire millions of people, you know? And I feel very humbled to be a part of that. So, and I know it's also given me tools and resources. Like, everyone has the ability to help people, and it has given me a greater ability and greater empathy for people going through mental health struggles. And different friends, different people have opened up to me about their struggles. And I feel like because of what I've been through, everyone's always their own best guide. But I feel like I've become a better guide and have been more helpful and have touched some people's lives that I don't think I would have if I hadn't have been through what I had been through. And I just think at the end of the day, like that, the final destination of transformation is appreciation. So like the practice that has really helped me, which I've mentioned again and again on this channel, but is to bring awareness to the sensations in my body as a meditation practice, to feel what I feel, and then to say I love you, thank you, be present with the feelings in my body. And as a individual practice, just doing that again and again and again and again until I rewrite the story and the overall feeling in my body of like, that event, I am grateful for it. I appreciate it. And it has given me so much value in my life. And I think I was going to share a recap of yesterday and today or whatever, but I think this vlog is enough. I might do one tomorrow. It's like the longest, it's a podcast, it's not a vlog. But yeah, I'm super excited. If Perry is watching this, I'm super excited to see your movie on the big screen, dude. I just felt like I had to share this today, even though it's like 30 minutes to midnight right now. But yeah, the final destination of transformation is appreciation. And I really thank Ben Harvey for planting that seed, for showing that in his speech that it was possible to appreciate some of the darkest times that people go through, and to gain wisdom and value from it and use it as a way, as medicine, like all the valuable lessons and skills you learn from it, to ultimately help other people, and help other people feel more joy, to prevent the suffering, to use your suffering, whatever suffering you went through, to prevent the suffering that others may go through or that others may be going through. And if you do that, life is always worth living, and life is always worth living just as it is. And it's enough to just be, we don't have to. So, yeah, that's the deeper podcast. I'm interested to see how I'm going to feel tomorrow or even editing this. I'm probably going to, I rewatched it straight after like the SD card was full, and I had to and I just, watching myself speak about it, I cried, and then I had to like pause for a second, then come back, and it's good in terms of, I think the thing with like tough conversations or sharing tough emotional things that have happened is I never, like when I'm 90 or 80, like I never regret, you'll never regret it. If you have a tough conversation and you're honest and you're truthful and you speak from love, it's like you never regret it, even if it feels really tough and hard and uncomfortable in the moment. I need like lip balm. I can feel I've been talking too much. But yeah, on a lighter note, tomorrow my intention is to do a shorter vlog and to talk about my favorite part of the filmmaking process. But also, if anyone is watching this at the end of this, I just want to say, and I'm getting tired, so I'm like mumbling back and forth with different things. And I don't have to be so harsh on myself. I think when I talk about this topic, I just feel so harsh on myself feel so critical. And like I need to get it right, but that's the whole, I don't need to get it right. I can just be and talk and express in a messy way. Like this is imperfect and I'm still learning, and that's okay. And I think the thing that I want to share is with anyone who's watching this and you feel like you're alone, you're not alone. In whatever harsh thing that you're going through, you're very likely not alone. And there's a high probability, the highest of highest probabilities, you are not alone. The other thing is that if you can, reach out to a family, friend, someone to talk to if you are going through a really hard time. Like I know if I hadn't had the people to support me through this journey, it would have been a whole lot harder. And some part of me even wonders if like I would be here, or my body would have like, the pain would have overwhelmed me and I would not be here. Whatever the case is, I'm super grateful and thankful to be here. And like on the other side of the healing and the feeling is a magical life, I believe, for everyone. You know, and a life that is amazing and full of wonder and joy. Like after doing some of the inner work, I felt childlike joy like I cannot imagine previously feeling. I felt so numb for so long. And it's like, I didn't realize it was possible for me to feel the amount of joy that I have felt over the last two years. You know, and it's like, so thankful for that. And sometimes when you get to the deepest, darkest feelings that you're running away from, often right next to them, what I've found is this joy, is this peace, is some of the most beautiful and heartwarming feelings as well. So yeah, that's some of the things that that's what I wanted to share during this video. Is there anything else, Liam? Like I'm like imagining Stephen Bartlett is on the other side of this podcast and he's like, is there anything else you want to share with your audience, Liam? Or is there anything else you want to share or you feel is important for you to share? I think one of the things that I did and I found tremendous benefit from is writing my story. So before I could even share or talk on camera or talk to other people, is actually just writing it down for myself. You don't have to share your story, your tragedy with the world, or tragedy or tough moments that you've been through with the world. But just the fact of rewriting, and whatever story it is, you can write it in a way where you just express the actual raw feeling of it, like Nicole Sparks, who has her journal course called, I think it's Free from Chronic Pain. Like I did find tremendous benefit from just being completely honest with some of the darker feelings of like rage, anger, whatever it is, and just writing it out on a piece of paper and then like deleting it. And no one has to see the unfiltered feelings. But then I also found tremendous benefit from rewriting the story in a very empowering way. So after you like cleanse the tougher feelings, and they come in waves and sometimes, layers of an onion like Shrek. But after that, rewriting your story in the most empowering way possible and living through that story, I think, and living into that story is what I would say I would recommend doing, and what I am aiming to do. I'm still in the process of writing my own story. Even if it never gets published, even if it never gets seen, is just to do it for yourself, I feel is like such a great practice. And that's what Perry's book and his community and his movie is going to be doing for millions of people. So I just wanted to share that. Share that. I hope you found this useful, and much love, much peace. I look forward to the next video and sharing more with you guys, with you people.